Hey, what is going on, guys? Cav here, and I'm coming to you today with a big question. It has been plaguing my mind forever, and I just want to know what your thoughts are on this as well. I'm going to give you my thoughts. Is it the video games company's fault for making games that are unsuitable for kids, or is it the parents that are buying it for them? So, a lot of parents seem to have been getting into a massive uproar lately because games like GTA 5, Call of Duty Ghosts, that sort of stuff's coming out, and they're saying that it's too violent, it's not suitable for kids. I mean, GTA, yeah, you go around, you kill cops, you bash hookers, but it's got a rating on it. It's rated R18. With those ratings, you would expect that parents would look at it and say, well, this isn't suitable for my kid. I know these rating systems really well because I work at a movie theatre and the rating system for movies is the same as it is for games, so I know what the laws are regarding these ratings. For R18, you cannot buy it if you're under 18. You can't even have a parent buy it for you. If an underage child goes into an R18 movie, they will get kicked out straight away. When I was working there and I was under 18, I couldn't even go in to check on those movies. So that's how strict the rating system is for R18. For MA15, it's much the same, except you are allowed to go in if you have a parent with you. Now, with the games, it is much the same as that. With MA15, a parent or guardian can purchase it for you. R18, they can't. If the underage child is with them when they buy it, then they cannot get it for them. It's that simple. It's like going in and buying alcohol. You just can't do it. Realistically, all these games that parents are in an uproar about, they would have had to buy for their kids anyway. And I just don't understand why they are complaining when they are buying the games for their kids. A big excuse that I've heard, and this excuse is absolutely pathetic in my opinion, it is just a hopeless excuse, is that the kids are going to sook about it until they get it. They're fucking kids, they're going to sook, it's what they do. When I was a kid, I would sook about plenty of shit. Like, mum or dad would cook something that I didn't like for dinner, and I would sook about it. And they would just sit there and say, well, I don't care, it's what's on your plate, I've cooked it for you, you're gonna eat it. Why aren't parents being like this with video games? If you sit there and you say to your kid, no, and they have a sook, because let's just say all their friends have got Grand Theft Auto and you're not gonna buy it for them. If they're gonna have a sook about it, you just tell them no. And if they keep sooking, ignore them. Seriously, what are they going to do? They're still your kid and they are still going to show you some respect. And if they don't, it's not really a reflection on the video games, it's more of a reflection on your parenting style. They're not going to go and start belting you or whatever because you're not going to buy them a video game. It's just stupid to think that. Parents that are complaining about this, they are buying the games for their kids themselves and then they are blaming the companies for making them. And I just don't see why. Let's just use an analogy here. So there are industries that are made for adults. And these industries includes things like the alcohol industry. It's not made for kids. It's illegal to buy alcohol if you are under the drinking age. Another one, and I think this analogy sums it all up perfectly. Pornography. Would you let your 13 or 14-year-old child invite all of his friends over and then go into his room and for the whole night watch a porno? You wouldn't, would you? I mean, I can't think of a respectable parent that would. Yet that's what they're doing when they're letting their kids get all their mates over and play a game like that and then complaining about it. It is exactly the same thing. Because all their friends are coming over, they're playing something that is made for adults, and you have bought them that game, and therefore you are the one that is enabling it, not the video game company for making it. And all these video game experts that seem to be coming onto these talk shows and that and talking about it, they just don't seem to know what they're talking about, in my opinion. I mean, sure, they're an expert in their field, but really, what is their field? Because you can't get much more of an expert than someone who sits there and plays video games a lot. I wouldn't consider myself a video game expert, but after I've heard some of these so-called experts talking, I reckon I know a hell of a lot more than them. And I'm sure a lot of you guys do too, because if you're watching this video, you're obviously a gamer, and video game experts that are saying stuff like this are just stupid. I just don't understand it. Like, for instance, about 2 days after Grand Theft Auto 5 was released, I was at Vorno's, and I think we were up at about 5 a.m. I think we both needed to go to work, so we were both getting ready for work. We were in the lounge room just eating breakfast, and we turned on one of those morning talk shows or news shows. I don't really know what they are, but I'm sure you know the sort of show that I'm talking about. And we turned that on, and there was a video game expert that was on talking about Grand Theft Auto, and he was blasting it, saying that it was not suitable for children and that it should not even be on the shelves. That's how bad it was. And he had a mother on, and she was saying how she didn't want her son playing it because it was a bad influence and she could see that it was not suitable for him. And both myself and Vaughn were just sitting there, and it actually got us both pretty angry because we were sitting there saying, you had to buy it for your son because he couldn't do it on his own. The way they were talking, this wasn't an 18, 19-year-old person. No, this was a 13, 14-year-old child. So the mother would have had to buy it for him, or someone over the age of 18 would have had to buy it for him. So really, it is the parents that are enabling it, not the video game companies for making the games. They're making their games for the intended audience, and the intended audience of games like Grand Theft Auto is people who are 18 and over. Like, another example would have been a couple of years ago. I don't know if you guys would remember. You might not have taken any notice because you didn't play the game, or maybe, you just have forgotten about it. But the Mass Effect games. In those games, you can have sex with another character. And I remember watching another special on this. A video game expert was on again, and he was talking about it and saying that kids were buying this game just so they could have sex. And that's just blatantly not true. Because I don't know of a single person that bought Mass Effect just to have sex with someone. Just for that 30-second cutscene where you can't even see anything. And that game was rated M. Now, if a game is rated M for action violence and stuff like that, and it did have sexual references in the actual rating card on the cover, then that is meant for a mature person. That is what M stands for, mature. So that game is intended for someone who is mature. And if you're not mature enough to watch an off-screen sex scene that lasts for about 30 seconds, that is completely optional in the game, then you shouldn't be buying that game. It's as simple as that. Basically, my view on this is it's not the company's fault, it is the parents and the older brothers and sisters and the people that are actually buying the games for the young children who are to blame for all this. It's not the company's fault. They're making games for their intended audience. And really, if you are not part of the intended audience, or your child isn't part of the intended audience, then they should not own the game. It's that simple. I just can't see how it can get any easier than that, really. It's common sense, but apparently, no, it's not, and the game should just be pulled off the shelves immediately. So I really want to hear your guys' opinions on this, because this is a really big topic in my mind, and it's one that I am very passionate about. I could talk for hours, but I'm not going to, because I'll probably get very boring, and we don't want that. So I'm going to leave it at that. So sound off in the comment section below what your opinion is on this, and I'll be sure to reply to as many as I can. Hopefully I get to reply to all of them. If you haven't liked the video or subscribed to the channel yet, just give it the good old click. We appreciate it heaps. It does help us out a lot. We are a growing channel, so any sort of support that you can give us would be greatly appreciated. I'll be out with another episode of Cav's Commentary next week. Until then, we'll have plenty of stuff coming out through this week, so just make sure that you subscribe so you can be kept in the loop. Until then, stay tuned, plenty more to come.